a little bit. So how you doing, man?
Good, good. Jimmy Katone, hit the ground running and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about the band. Originally, it was called Free Delivery.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes. The band was formed in 1985
Uh-huh.
by Paul Picari, the bass player. Paul and I played in some bands before that.
Right,
Okay. Paul went on his own to do this.
right,
They had another drummer. They had they had all the original members there, except they had a different drummer.
right.
A couple months in, I was on the road at the time. A couple months in, I became available. And
Uh-huh.
so he got me involved in the band. So, yeah, in 1985, we were free delivery for a couple of years, played all the clubs in the area.
And then in '86, you changed the name.
We did, yeah. We got signed by Nice Productions in 1986.
Right.
They are the company that owns Dance Party USA.
Uh-huh.
That was a big part of their production company. They signed us on to a production deal, and we went
Right.
on to record our first album, Sudden Impact, in their in-house studio.
Um, why do you think that album now goes for 3 grand?
I think it's a collector's item because it's rare.
Yeah.
There was always so many of them printed at the time back then by Autograph Records, and it's a rarity for sure. And I think that has everything to do with it.
Cool, cool, cool. Let's go into some of the past bands and ones I found on the internet, like Sanctuary. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, my band Sanctuary. Well, that's very early on, Brian. That's very early on. That was right out of high school for me.
Huh?
Although I did meet Paul Picari from Hit the Ground Running through
Right.
Sanctuary. He did become our bass player. So there is a tie with Hit the Ground Running, of course. Yeah. But that was right out of high school. That was when I first started singing. I was singing and drumming at the same time for that.
Cool, cool. Was there any kind of releases, cassettes handed out, or?
No, no, no. We were a straight up cover band, Brian.
Oh,
Straight up
okay.
cover band. Yeah, yeah. That was I just think I was kind of prepping, with that band, learning how to be in a band back in Sanctuary.
How about Escape?
Escape came from Sanctuary.
Okay.
Sanctuary was the rock version,
Right.
and Escape was more like a top 40 cover band, although we did do a lot of rock as well.
Right.
That's when we went out and cut our teeth in Wildwood, New Jersey. We played a lot of clubs in Ocean City.
Right.
We played literally every club in the area. We were very, very popular cover band.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and that was, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, cover bands are popular now.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Tribute bands, cover
Yeah.
bands.
Mhm.
Absolutely, my friend.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. All over the place now. They're making a comeback because things did quiet down, as you probably remember.
Right. Hmm.
Late 80s, the clubs quieted down when a lot of things started happening with, DJ started to take over. I'm sure you
Right.
remember, Brian,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not no
People,
young kid.
yes, the
Yeah.
DUIs became a big business, and people stopped, really flooding the clubs the way that they did back when you and me were younger. And yeah, and now they really are coming back full force.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Tell me a little bit about the band Mason.
Mason, okay, Marcus Mason, my friend
Mhm.
Marcus Mason, he came into the picture wanting to write the biography for Hit the Ground Running.
Right.
This is how we all met Marcus, and he did that. It was a wonderful experience. Getting back with my brothers and Hit the Ground Running, reuniting for an album and a couple re-releases. Marcus became our manager,
Mhm.
okay, of Hit the Ground Running for a couple of years. He did quite a job.
Right.
And then when things started to quiet down a little bit with the reunion with Hit the Ground Running, Marcus decides he wants to do an album and he
Right.
wants to get a bunch of guests on board. A lot of guests from all over Europe, uh, a couple in the United States, such as myself. And he asked me if I wanted to be the drummer on the first album, and I said I will absolutely be honored to do that. So, uh, I did that. The first album came out last year, We have already recorded a second album, and we're looking at a release already this summer. Videos have already been shot,
Great.
and we're
And
getting ready to come out again.
he's also the one who set this all up, this interview.
He sure did. Oh yeah, yeah, he sure did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
He seems to he still enjoys, very, very much talking about Hit the Ground.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows I do as well. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's
Yeah.
become a lot of great memories, and a lot of great nostalgia has come from Hit the Ground Running, and love talking about it.
Yeah. Well, Sudden Impact, I see you had 3 releases actually, one in Canada, one in Brazil, and one in Germany. Is there anything different from that release to all them different countries?
Brian, I'm today years old when I'm hearing about that.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even know that, to be honest with you, and
Uh-huh.
I thought I knew everything there was to know about that release. I did not know that there were different versions.
Right.
Are they perhaps, bootlegs?
Uh, Actually, the original one that came out in '89, that was
Mhm.
on BMG Canada.
Autograph,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. And then in 2012, Brazil released it. In 2022, Germany re-released it, Germany. So like there was 3 releases. I don't know, it's maybe just cassettes or CDs or downloads or whatever, but when I was looking over the information, that was on there.
Man, I did not know that. I really didn't. That's interesting. I think I'm going to look that up when we get done today.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe they owe you some money here. You know?
Yeah, right.
You know?
You did good, my friend. My goodness.
Cool, cool.
Didn't even know it existed.
Wow. Now you know, you had Magic Moment to Moment, and what was your favorite song out of that release?
Oh, I think well, there's a couple on that album. I think She's an Original is probably my favorite on the
Mhm.
Sudden Impact album. Absolutely, yeah.
Right, yeah. Cool, cool, cool. There was also video Over and Over. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the Over and Over video. So this was MTV era, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
when people shot videos, you know, with film
right.
and a big crew, and yeah, it was a whole thing. So we decided we were going to shoot a video, and we got some funding, and so we went to one of our favorite places to play. It was called JR's Place in Twin Oaks. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it,
Hmm.
but big club,
Right.
big club, big capacity. We always sold out there, so we thought, what a great place to shoot our Over and Over video. And then home. We called it home because
Right.
we played there so frequently, and so we did. We got Richard. His name's Richard Monahan. He's into film now, but he was the producer and the director of this video. And we got about 1,000 of our best friends, and they came out. It was going to be a live video, but
Right.
then the director decided at the last moment that he would just like it to be a performance video, and so he took another route and did that. So that was our video. That was our big video.
Wow.
That was
Yeah.
all over the place. Yeah, yeah, it's
Cool,
pretty
cool.
cool.
Can you tell me anything about in 2000 Control Yourself?
The Control Yourself album, yeah, that was done over a period of time. It was a little. It was. It's a. In my opinion, it was a really great album. I think it's. This is my opinion. I think it's
Right.
even better than Sudden Impact, to be honest with you. It was a little bit more low key, but probably because of the way it was recorded over a long period of time.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure how much of the book that you read, but we had a lot of little deals going on here and there, and we had so we were kind of distracted a lot. So
Right.
it took us a while to get this done. In the meantime, took my exit after probably about 4 or 5 tracks. I only appear on about 4 or 5 tracks on that album,
Uh-huh.
and they brought in my replacement, who was an excellent drummer. His name is Craig Soma,
Mhm.
excellent drummer. And so we kind of split drumming duties on that album. But I think that if we were going to have a second shot, that probably would have been the time, because it was just such a really good album, in my opinion.
Cool. In 2007, an album HGR.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know a whole lot about that album, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
I know the songs. I love the album, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I think Paul Picari's baby. Like
Right. Yeah.
he got some other guys. There really wasn't too many members of the actual hit, classic
Hmm.
lineup hit the ground.
Right.
He brought in some great session players. Adam Fioroli on drums, which rest in peace, Adam. He did quite a job on that album, and some other guys, and
Right.
they did a heck of a job. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Can you tell me anything about 1989 Monterey Music Festival?
Oh, sure. That was a blast.
Yeah, I bet you.
That was a real blast. Yeah. So we did a double header gig. We flew out to Canada,
Mhm.
and then we went to and then we went out to Monterey to play that show. And we were on the same bill as Billy Preston, the Jeff Healey band,
Mhm.
just so many great classic bands,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we're rubbing elbows with these people, chatting with them. We met Billy Preston at a club that night. It was quite an atmosphere,
Right.
from
Yeah.
beginning to end. We were there all 3 days, hanging around, just walking around, and
Right.
it was packed. There was so many people there. It was a wonderful experience.
You were a young kid back then, huh?
Yeah, I was in my 20s. Yeah, I sure was. Yeah, it was
Uh,
quite an experience.
yeah, I
Yeah.
bet you. I bet you. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Markus Pfeffer of
Marcus,
Winterland.
Fe- we keep running into one another. He's my man. Marcus
Huh?
Pfeffer is my buddy. We keep running into one another in these projects. He played on the first Mason album, and he
Mhm.
does make an appearance on the second Mason album that's coming out. And but even more so, we played on a track together called "Higher Power" by Richie Newton, and Marcus wrote that song, and he did quite a job on that. And so we appear in the video together. Quite a song if you haven't seen it.
Uh-huh.
"Higher Power" by Richie Newton. So that was probably our first project together. I have a feeling we're going to be working together again soon. We're just kind of always hanging around.
How much do you miss back in the day compared to now?
Wow. Well, there's a lot of nostalgia there, as you
Uh-huh.
know. That
Right.
time period rings special to all of us that were in the '80s. It was a wonderful time, unparalleled to anything really at this point in life, right? But
Right.
I keep it compartmentalized. I keep it kind of in this special little spot. I learned a lot back then,
Right.
Brian.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I learned a lot back then about how to be in a band. I learned a lot about producing. I learned a lot about recording. This is when I learned everything I know.
Mhm.
So, there was a lot of, it was like school.
Right. Yeah.
So along with the clubs and along with the parties, there came a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience back then too. So, it's always prevalent in my life.
Cool. Cool. Was drums always your first love?
Yeah, I play a couple different instruments, but yeah, drums. When drums came into my life, it took the forefront for sure, and I've maintained being a drummer. I just celebrated 50 years behind the kit
Uh-huh.
last year, which was kind of a special time, and yeah, it was yeah, it's always been front and center for me.
Cool. Cool. Did you have any training or you know teachers?
Yeah, sure. I took drum lessons. I did take drum lessons at a young age.
Uh-huh.
Ended up taking, I took my drum teacher's place
Mhm.
at the place where I took lessons,
Wow,
and
that's great.
which was kind of cool, And I did
Right.
that throughout the years,
Uh-huh.
intertwined with my career.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay, let's get to the Katone new EP. First, NRT Records. What's your relationship with Mr. Gottfried?
Oh, okay. Philip, he's the owner of the label. And I got to meet Philip through Richie Newton's project. Richie Newton is signed under NRT Records. I got to work closely with them. I played 2 tracks on the Higher Power album.
Uh-huh.
And, I got to really experience them. I really liked how they worked because these days, not a lot of the labels are hands on, They're a
Right.
very hands on label. They're very invested in their acts. They are very articulate the way they like things, which is wonderful. I love that. And they're all into high quality. So I got to meet Philipp through that, and we established a relationship, and that's led to me getting signed to the company.
Cool, cool, cool. Let's you got three tracks on the EP, but before I start with that, when I made a post that I was going to be interviewing you, I want to know how come 99.9% response was all chicks.
Holy moly.
I
I
was
don't
checking
know.
it all out. Like all these girls, 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 girls. Where's the guys? None. Girls.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, I don't know. I
I,
don't know. You know, listen, it's fun. We're having a lot of fun with the Katone project, and
uh,
it's been very gratifying to be able to be back and doing my own thing again. It's been wonderful, and if we get a good response from people,
uh,
that's what we're looking for.
cool, cool. The first song is "Flesh the Fire and Fire." How long did these three tracks take you to write and get out there?
I began writing in October. I began
Uh,
writing in October, and I recorded through the rest of the year, through the holidays, and I had everything ready by towards the end of January.
right,
I shot all the videos the whole month of March.
right, right.
Got the editing done and got them all taken care of. Everything was ready by the beginning of April. Everything was to the record company, and we were just figuring out what we wanted to do at that point.
Cool, cool. Flesh and Fire. Tell me a little bit about that track and what's your feelings towards it.
Sure. Yeah, the Flesh and Fire track. Well, the whole album, the whole EP, all three songs are based on a divine connection of
Uh,
two people, two unlikely people. This couple who find out that they are, of course, divinely connected, and that there's something really special and otherworldly about their relationship. It is, sparks do fly,
mm,
during this thing, and yeah, it's just a wonderful experienced through the eyes of these two unlikely people.
yeah. How about track number two, Bound by Chains?
Bound by chains. This was written. These two people, they're ready to kind of separate. They're not ready for this relationship,
Right.
and they find that they can't. They keep running into one another. They keep being pulled back by this gravitational universal pull, and they can't really escape one another. And then they come to find that they're meant for this. They're really meant to just kind of be together. And
Uh,
so that's the theme of that
cool.
heavy
How
metal
about
version.
good? How about Put Me Under?
Pull Me Under. That's actually the first. If you're going to put them in a sequential order, that's actually the first.
Right.
This is when these two people meet for the first time.
Uh,
Eyes lock. Sparks fly. That's when they first meet, and they first realize that there is something really incredibly special going on between them.
cool. Did you do any of the recording at home?
I did everything right here. You're looking
Cool.
at it.
Great.
Absolutely. Everything was done in the studio right here.
Was there any other tracks you were hoping to put on there, or you just wanted the three?
Yeah, I recorded five for it. These were the three that were the most done. They were pretty much complete. The other two weren't ready yet. They are now, but they
Right.
weren't ready at the time. So we just went with the three.
Cool. Now, I also read that you're planning on a full-length album in 2026.
Absolutely. Yeah, if it can get done sooner, hopefully even sooner than that. So we'll see. I'm well into those tracks now.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so we'll see where that goes.
Cool,
Stay
cool,
tuned.
cool. What's your preferable, sound? Do you like a vinyl, cassette, CD, or download?
Oh, I love CD.
Uh-huh.
I mean, hopefully this next release will be out on CD. The only reason this one wasn't, from what I gather, is because it was only three tracks. But I do believe that there'll be a CD involved next time. I love CDs. I do. I never outgrew that. Because
Right.
again, going all the way back to when we were younger. That was the thing.
Right.
Not so much anymore, but they're still out there.
Cool, 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 cool. Me, I like vinyl yet, so everybody got their own preference, so it's cool. Do you think when that next album comes out, it will be on vinyl?
Well, NRT does release on vinyl, so I guess we'll visit that when it's done. We'll see. That would be nice. I would love to have that. I know the Mason album, they're talking about putting that out on vinyl, which is cool. And I think Higher Power is coming out on vinyl too.
Right. If someone came to you and asked you, they want to go into music, what would you tell them the pros and the cons?
Of getting involved in music?
Yeah.
Oh, well, do it from your heart. That's the thing. If you're getting into this for money,
right.
I wouldn't even bother at this point because the career is completely different.
Right.
You need to do this for the love of music, not even for the love of the industry or love of attention or anything like that. You get into this because you love music and you love truly playing music. All that other stuff will come. It will, but you really need to be in it for the love of the music because I see people dropping off all over the place.
Right.
Very fine musicians dropping off. Well, why are you dropping off? Oh, there's no money in it anymore. Well, man,
Right.
that wasn't, you were in it for all the wrong reasons to begin with then,
Right, yeah.
in my opinion.
Definitely, definitely. If you had a chance to play any country in the world, where would you like to play live?
I want to go to Germany. I would love to start a tour in Germany.
Mhm.
I really would like to be there near the label and be out and about in that particular area. I would love to play in Munich. I would love, and then I would love to go over to Austria. I would love to play Salzburg.
Right.
Hit that area there in Europe.
Now the release was only a couple days ago, right?
Pardon me?
Your album just came out a couple days ago, right?
It came out 2 weeks ago yesterday. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read any reviews?
Yeah, there's plenty of reviews out there. Yeah, for the most part, they're excellent. You're always going to get people, you can't please everybody, but
Right, yeah.
not too many of them. I think I only read one where somebody wasn't completely thrilled with it, but I think for the most part, it's been overwhelmingly fantastic.
You going to be doing any shows?
I'm hoping that's what I'm really hoping for. That's where I think that this whole thing is going. But we'll have to see how that evolves because it involves putting a band together, getting a bunch of guys together, of course, and heading out on the road, which is no easy task, especially when you want to start your tour in Germany. But
right, yeah.
I'll settle for Philadelphia, though.
That's okay. Philadelphia. That's good. Can you tell me about any of the musicians that played on this EP?
Yes, sir. First and foremost, we have Alan Agonis, who is the guitar player in Hit the Ground Runnin'. Mm-hmm. Alan and I have always had a great musical relationship, and we're great friends. And I thought, what better place to start with Al Agonis? One of my favorite guitar players for sure. Did a heck of a job on the album. And then we have Igor Mueller, who is a session player over in Germany. I've known Igor for quite a while, and he was very excited to get on board with this. He did a lot of tracks too. So they're the only two other players besides me. Mm-hmm. So I do think that they elevated this EP to another level. I really do believe
that. What's your family think about your success so far and, staying with music all these years?
Oh, I've always had some really great support. Uh-huh. I really have. I've had, I will say that I've had some good support. I think while it's not imperative that you have that kind of support, it really did help me through the years to have that kind of support.
In your younger years, did you collect anything?
Wow, that's quite a question. Memorabilia, a little bit, which by the way, your memorabilia is outstanding. I mean, these flyers that I've been seeing coming through my feed all of a sudden, they are a joy to look at. Let me tell you, they are actually, so I know you collect those. I don't have anything quite like that. I have a lot of Hit the Ground Running stuff that I collected over the years. But other than that, probably not. I've moved around a lot. So.
Right, yeah. Wow. How about in school? Did you play any sports or how were you as a kid in school?
No, I hated high school because I always wanted to play music. I always wanted to play music. And so school got in the way, Brian.
Uh-huh.
I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do. And you weren't going to tell me any different. And so,
Uh-huh.
I missed a lot of school. I did graduate. I did go back to college in my 30s
Uh-huh.
and majored in psychology, which was really cool. So I did do that, which was I kind of made up for my lack of presence in high school, I think.
Right. Yeah.
But it was interesting. Yeah, high school was when I got to meet a lot of people who I'm still friends with today. So,
Cool. 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 I can understand the school stuff because I do photography now and I'm a photographer, but yet in school I got the big F. I flunked because I didn't want to do what they wanted me to do. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, concert pictures, but like they would
yeah,
say, take a picture of texture. What's texture? So I took a picture of cement, right? I said, there's your texture. You get F,
yeah,
get out of
yeah.
here,
Yep. Yep. Oh, exactly. Exactly. See, so you knew what you wanted to do too.
right, and I enjoy it, you know,
Yep.
so definitely cool. So what are your hopes are with this release?
I'm hoping that it does lead me to the road. I would love to go out and tour it. That's really what I want to do more than anything. And because I do have a lot of material, I've been recording my own albums for 26 years. This is either, and pardon me on this. This is either my ninth or 10th release, and I'm not really sure about that. So I have a lot of material. I have a lot of material, and a lot of it's really good live material too.
Cool, cool. If you had a chance to go out on tour with somebody, who would it be?
Uh, Someone in my genre would be nice.
Right.
I don't know who really right now. There's a lot of young band. I would not be able to hop on with the young. I would have to find someone that's kind of in a similar situation as me.
Cool. Yeah.
Who's kind of an '80s leftover guy who's coming back. Kind of thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
Cool.
see.
Cool. Do you remember the first album or 45 or whatever you bought ever with your own money?
That I bought. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I do remember. I do remember. I bought. Now I had a lot of albums before because I'm the youngest sibling of four, and they were a little older, and
Uh-huh.
I got all their Alice Cooper albums, Brian.
Mhm.
I got all
Cool.
their Deep Purple albums. I got all their David Bowie albums. So I was really invested. But my first album I ever bought was Kiss Alive. I
Wow.
got into Kiss for a little as a young
Mhm.
as a young guy, for a short time. For a short
Wow.
time.
Yeah. That was like one of my first concerts, 1975 at the Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey. I got to see Kiss. It was a double matinee, So like,
Mine,
it blew my mind.
mine was Kiss too. That the following year on the Destroyer tour, Bob Seger opened up for them. Yeah, that was my
Yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
76. Yeah, it
Uh-huh.
was my first concert. Yeah,
I
ever.
saw
Yeah,
that. Wow. Unbelievable.
mind blown, man. Mind blown.
Too cool. What was the best concert you ever saw?
Wow. I don't go to as many as I used to, but some of the ones that I went to at the Spectrum.
Mhm.
I'm
Right, yeah,
from Philly, right? I'm
right,
from
yeah.
Philly, so I went to a lot of concerts at the Spectrum. Wow, what jumps out to me? The Serious Moonlight tour was excellent.
Mhm.
Um, some of those Kiss shows back in the day were great. One that jumps out to me all the time. I saw Foreigner on their Double Vision tour,
Uh-huh.
which was amazing. The Cars opened up for them. It was the Cars' first tour, which was really cool. That was cool. I saw King Crimson on their Discipline tour at the Man Music Center there in Philly,
Mhm.
which was incredible. 15 rows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just some of the Genesis shows. I'm a huge Genesis
Wow.
fan, so I
Yeah.
got to see some of their shows at JFK Stadium.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Saw them play "Supper's Ready" in its entirety at JFK Stadium. Just you can't beat that.
Definitely.
You can't
Definitely.
beat that. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Kiss with at the Spectrum, and Queensryche was opening. So that was really cool.
Who opened?
Queensryche,
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw
Wow.
that. And I also had a chance to photograph Metallica on the Monsters of Rock tour in JFK in Philly. So that was really cool, you know.
That must have been quite a show. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
your photography is fantastic too, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Excellent.
So the last question I'm going to ask is like when you pass away, whenever that happens, Where do you think you go?
Um, to a peaceful place, hopefully.
I hope so too.
I'm hoping for the peace,
Uh-huh.
Brian. I really am. I'm hoping for peace. That's a really great question. You know, I don't know where I'm going, but I would like to leave behind as much music, as
Uh-huh.
much video, and as much um, artifacts as I possibly can. You know, that's what I think that's part of my mission now is to just get as much done in a quality way to where when I am gone, a lot of people have a lot to look back on and hopefully appreciate.
Cool. Were you happy the way your music career went?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better story. I'll tell you what, I like getting back with my band with all its original members, and from the '80s, we got to finish some Unsettled Business. We got to record together. We're looking at each other like, oh my gosh, 35 years have gone by, and
Right.
we're all still here. We're all alive. We're all doing well. That was a wonderful story, you know, getting back, and then through that, you know, meeting my friend and my musical partner Markus Mason, and then getting signed to a record deal at my age was has been pretty cool, man. You know what I mean? So looking back at it in its entirety, yeah, I think it went pretty well.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, Mark, Jimmy, it's great talking to you. Flesh and Fire, make sure you check it out. It's the EP. Watch the video, everything else, and congratulations once again, man. So,
Brian, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it. It's great to
cool,
meet
cool.
you too.
You too. Would you like to
Keep,
say anything to the fans out there?
Yes, thank you all so much for all the follows, all the likes, all the appreciation, all the love. Nothing goes unlooked at. You know, I just really appreciate all this outpouring of support that I'm getting right now. It's been phenomenal. Thank you.
Cool, cool. See you later, Jimmy.
See you, buddy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.